A showman's life is a smoky bar in the feeble chase of a tiny star. It's a hotel room and a lonely wife.
Hello and welcome to Old Faithful. I'm your host, Matt Trask. My thanks to Haggerty's Music Works in downtown Rapid City, and my thanks to the incomparable Johnny Hastings for doing the work behind the camera. We were just talking about how this I keep forgetting stuff. Thanks to Kendall at Black Hills Blend Espresso for the Americanos. Today, how's your Americano?
Amazing.
And my guest today is the one and only Harley Wilt. It's so nice to have you on the show, Harley.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Thanks for having me.
This show is about guitars and the people who love them. And so you're a person and you're an entertainer. And you kind of sort of, do you mind me calling you a new breed of entertainer?
I'd be okay with that.
You'd be okay?
I'm more than okay with that.
There's a lot of things we can talk about with your career. Number one, you decided at some point to make your entertainment very fluid.
Yes.
To go with what the audience wants.
Yeah, I call my show Playing It By Ear. It's kind of a mix between kind of a DJ open mic kind of setting and kind of mix a little karaoke in there a lot. I've done karaoke. I've hosted karaoke for years, so it kind of mixed into when I started doing more independent shows and worked out pretty good.
Was that a mental shift when you started? Did you start out you wanted to do one thing, or?
Actually, I guess the best way to put it is when I first started years ago, when I was in high school, I came into this store actually, and I was looking for a PA. I was just in high school. It was 2004. I think I was a sophomore or junior in high school, and I was looking for a PA somewhere here, and I just happened to walk in there, and they happened to have one set up kind of where they have their Gibson stand now.
Right.
And it was just all set up, just sitting there, and I guess what happened is somebody walked in the day before and traded that PA for two guitars, just an old PV system. And I called my dad up and had him come in and look at it, and he looked it over, and he said this would be perfect for just doing some small shows and stuff like that. And we took it down to Socorro Station, and we were doing some open mics.
Okay.
And it was just for fun, family, friends, nothing major. And what I noticed when we did that was my dad got up there, and I wasn't the greatest guitar player. I wrote a little bit, and I wasn't the greatest guitar player, so I didn't do much back then. But my dad got up and did just an acoustic version of Yesterday by the Beatles.
Okay.
And I was just in awe, because everything I'd seen him do prior to that was with his band, the Wilt Brothers. And I've never seen something so stripped down and kind of intimate in the way that it just drew you in. It was just amazing. So I kind of went from that point forward. I went from being I want to be in a rock star band to I want to do more of this. The way that the connection was just bigger.
Sure.
And I thought that was the most amazing piece of music that I've ever seen, just because it was so stripped down. And I think that's kind of why I kind of geared the direction of doing more solo stuff and more stuff that's more based on connecting one-on-one with an audience, if that makes sense. So,
sure.
As far as my musical influences go, yes, obviously I idolized the Garth Brooks and George Strait of the world.
Right.
But the biggest influence for me was honestly going out every Sunday to, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention local businesses, but the Elk Creek Steakhouse. They used to play there every Sunday. It was a house band. It's
perfectly fine to mention the Elk Creek Steakhouse.
But they played there every Sunday for 20 plus years. I don't know how many years it was, but I know it was over 20 years. And I went down there every Sunday as a kid. When I was 13 years old, I went down there and actually, and I wasn't so much getting on stage a lot, but I'd go out there and I'd dance with my grandma and dance with some different people. And then after a while, my baby sister, who was really little at the time, I took her out on the dance floor just to get her out, so she could have some fun at this place. And she was really, really little, and she loved this song. It was The Shake, and I can't remember who the artist is off the top of my head. It's
Neil
McCoy, yeah, that's right. And I got her out on the dance floor, and she used to just grab me and just headbang. That's what she did. She just grabbed me by the knee, the pants right here, and just start headbanging like crazy. So then I started twisting her around, And then next thing you know, like I started after like probably a few months of that, we were doing these crazy moves. She was no taller than my belt buckle.
Right.
And we were doing things like the pretzel. I don't know if you know that move, that dance.
I do.
We were doing things like the pretzel, and she was half my height, and we just became this huge deal at the Elk Creek Steakhouse, which I don't know how big that is, but in our world, it was huge.
It was a big deal.
And
yeah,
it was like the first taste I got of what it was like to kind of be the center of attention, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And even though no one cared about me, because it's more impressive seeing a little girl do it, I was just a tall, lanky preteen. But it was kind of the first taste of what it was like to have people notice you for something that you're doing or something that you learned how to do. And that was kind of the start of that part of it, where I got the showboat, I guess, if you want to call it that. But after that, and after that, honestly, the biggest musical influence I think I've ever had is my old man, my dad. I think it honestly really is. Like, I looked up to him and my uncle Tom a lot. My uncle Steve moved before I was really paying that close of attention. But I looked up to those two a lot. And Greg Svahovic, he taught me how to play my first bass lick on bass guitar on a trip to Minnesota. It was just those are the types of things that that's kind of the biggest influences. I wanted to be Garth Brooks, don't get me wrong, but
was the neck of the bass sticking out the window?
No, we drove this one of the big huge van. We had a trailer in the back, and literally, like, I laid down in the farthest back seat and slept the whole way, which I don't think is allowed anymore. It may not have been allowed back then, but.
So tell us about your first guitar.
The first guitar I ever had. I was actually kind of upset about this, actually. I was 7 years old, and they got me this. They told me it was a guitar. It was actually a ukulele.
Oh.
And there was a song, and again, I don't remember the artist. I remember the title of the song, but not the artist. What Kind of Fool Do You Think I Am? It's an old early 90s song. You know what song that is? That was my favorite song. Okay. That was like my favorite song in the world. And they told me I could jump on stage and play it on stage with my dad at, of course, the Elk Creek Steakhouse. And my Uncle Tom had this microphone stand that he had set down. It was really low for his saxophone.
Sure.
And I jumped up there when the song came on, and I started playing. And I was trying to figure out what I was doing. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. So I kept looking at my dad. And as I looked at my dad, I was like, okay, his fingers are doing this. And I looked down and I realized I only had 4 strings. He had 6.
Oh.
That was the moment I realized this guitar is not the same as his guitar.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, the show must go on. So I kept strumming this thing. And I looked back and I started having other problems. Like, my guitar kept slipping down. Like, every time I'd strum, it'd start falling down. And I looked over and I didn't have a guitar strap. And that got me upset. So I get through this whole song, and then afterwards, I'm like, you didn't get me it was a real instrument. It was a real ukulele.
Right.
It's like, you didn't give me a guitar, you got me a toy. And I was just giving him a hard time about it after that. And then later on, he bought a Ibanez, I don't remember exactly what the model is off the top of my head, but he gave me this, it was an electric guitar, it was black, I call it the bra. It's like this little cloth thing that's wrapped around the body. And he gave it to me, and that's the one I started learning. He gave me this, and he gave me a book. He gave me a book of one of the first books that he used to learn to play guitar. And I was never good at learning from him because it was like a pride thing, I think.
Right.
I couldn't learn from him, but he gave me this book, and I started flipping through it, and I started playing these little chunk things and plugged it into this little practice amp he gave me, and I kind of just, from that point forward, just kind of taught myself how to play. He taught me a few things. He kind of gave me some help here and there, but for the most part, I was self-taught.
Let's talk about this beautiful Taylor right here.
I got this not long after they built the Taylor room in here.
Okay.
Here, I don't know if I think downstairs right here it was fairly new. It was a prototype. I don't even know what model or level it is. I just fell in love with it when I saw it, and I grabbed it. And like I said, I think it just says prototype in there for the model number, so it's like one of the first of its kind, I guess. I don't know how that works exactly.
May I?
You can, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Because I honestly don't know myself.
I walked in with this guitar, and my wife like, you got a new guitar? I was like, yeah, that's not the worst part. It's like, really? It's like, yeah. It's like, what? It's like $2,000. And I got a stern look. It was not exactly a fun conversation. But it was the best investment I ever made, because honestly, I learned more from at the point I bought this guitar on how to play. I don't even know what it was. It's something about it just pushed me. It pushed me into actually stepping up and playing a lot more. I played a lot more shows. Before this, a lot of my shows I did a lot of backtracks, and I play a little guitar. Right. Now it's getting to the point where it's like probably 60% trying to play, and then 40% backtracks and DJ stuff. And it's just getting more and more. As an artist, this was the best investment I ever made. As I don't know how to put it. I really don't know how to explain exactly where I'm trying to go with that, but it's just, I think it's one of those investments where it was not so much spontaneous, it was thought through, but it was really a gut feeling where I felt like this guitar, I need this guitar. And I named her 2 weeks after I bought her. I finally named her. Her name's Shotgun Annie.
Shotgun Annie.
That's her name. Yep, I named her right away.
I love people who name their guitars, and
Now-
I love that name.
now-
And it does, in fact, inside say Proto.
It does.
is
It's
a prototype
prototype,
tailored guitar.
which is pretty cool. I think it's a cool little story to tell.
That is
I know there's
really
I
cool.
know there's a lot of them out there that are different models and different things, but I don't even know if they can. I've never seen another one like it, so I don't know if they continued this one or not. But
I think they now have a couple in this body shape downstairs here at Haggerty.
they might, yeah. Like I said, I just never seen one with the same sunburst or anything like that. And I just like it because it's not a bright. It's a sunburst, but it's not really bright. It's
Right.
flashy, but not over the top flashy. I like that's kind of why I like it.
It's kind of an understatedly beautiful guitar, we could say.
And it's the body's not huge. Like I kind of get. I'm not exactly 7 foot tall here. And I don't know. I like the way it felt. It felt good. It plays good for the type of style I do. I don't play anything too intricate. I strum more than anything, and it fits what I like to do.
You said that it kind of made you want to play more.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
really
think
did.
Did
It really
it?
did.
And I hate talking like this, but sometimes you got to. Did it change your style at all of guitar?
Maybe a
playing?
little bit, but I think that would have changed over time anyway. I think it's
Okay.
as an artist, I think as artists we always develop over time. Like I'm not
Sure.
the same artist I was this time last year, nonetheless 2 years ago or
Right.
5 years ago. I think that we all kind of find our style, and then as we get better and better, we just kind of naturally progress or naturally go a direction that's less and less what people want to see and more what you want to feel, if that makes sense.
So back to this guitar. First of all, Haggerty's Music Works is the nation's #1 independent tailor retailer, and I'm not entirely sure what that means, but they're very proud of it. And this appears to be a spruce top, and correct me if I'm wrong,
Honestly, I wouldn't know. I just fell in love with the
with
guitar.
what we're going to call a Sienna Burst, and it looks like it has a mahogany back and sides, and it might also have a mahogany neck. You like the way it plays, quite
That's
obviously.
pretty much that was my deciding factor. I picked it up, started playing, and I loved the way it played, and that was my deciding factor in buying it. I'm not really the technical type when it comes to that kind of stuff. So people start talking to me about that. It's like, for other people, it's like when people start talking about cars. It's like,
Right.
okay, I don't really care what kind of carburetor you have. I just want to know if it drives good. If that makes sense.
Well, and that is absolutely fine. And there are people, and I wanted people like that who, I don't know much about it, I just play it.
Yeah.
But for the guitar nerds,
definitely.
I had to
Yes,
do all the buzzword stuff.
definitely.
Do you prefer the way this guitar sounds now?
Yes.
Have you picked up other
You want
guitars?
the
and
truth
you've been
though?
around?
When I first got it, I was having trouble with it because the pickups were really sensitive, and I had to really adjust how I set up everything. And because I just go directly into my PA. I don't have anything.
a DI
I don't
box.
have a
You
DI box.
answered another question.
I plug straight into the PA. I always have, just because. Let's be honest. I just like to haul less equipment. Let's be
Right.
And after a while, what happened is after the first month of playing it, my dad just happened to show up to a show, and I didn't even realize I was making these fine adjustments. I was just doing it as I went. And he said, I don't know what you did, but this guitar sounds amazing through your PA now. And it always sounded good acoustic by itself.
Right.
It always sounded amazing that way. But he just said, I don't know what you did, but it sounds amazing coming through the PA now, too. And it's like, I really don't even know what I did. It's kind of a fine-tuning thing you do over time. The same thing I
Right.
did with my voice and everything else that I've done over the years is just... I don't even know what I did. I didn't like a certain part. I adjusted and kind of went from there. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram's The Real Harley Wilt. Facebook, you can look me up at Harley Wilt. And then the tag is Harley Wilt fan page. But you can usually just look up my name, Harley Wilt. Harley like the bike, Wilt like a dying flower. That's how I always introduce it from stage anyway. And Snapchat, it's Freeborn Wilt. And if you find me on Facebook or Instagram, I'll just give it to you. It's pretty simple. I do have a Twitter account and a TikTok that I am just starting to use, but same thing, just look my name up, you'll find me.
All right.
And I have this hat on, so it's pretty easy to spot me a little bit.
Boy will dream, as children do, of a great wide way, till the dream comes true. Phony smile in a colored light are all there is to a showman's life. No nobody told me about this part.